Aussie Bonsai Bloke, here you go. Well, I still haven't got the kids from school, but this is only my second ton. So let's get into it. Only one standard drink each, so don't panic. And I've still got another hour and a half before I've got to get the kids. I just enjoyed the first one that much that I thought I'd better go another. And the best cold beer is Ton. Ton is fun. Okay guys, enough mucking around being a clown or a moron, whichever you want to say. Today is Maple Day. Let's have a Maple Fest. So, I'm not going to work on this one, but I just wanted to show you how healthy this thing is. I'm going to let the very fine branches, but super healthy. I'm going to let them grow strong and then cut them back in autumn, because we're actually not far off autumn here. Only a week. In 1 week we're going to actually go into autumn. But our autumn, believe it or not, some of you guys in the snow will be jealous, but our autumn is actually, you know, another 10 weeks growing. Just a little bit cooler. Things do start to shut down, but if you cut something back just on the start of autumn, it can actually regrow for another 10 odd weeks before it shuts down for winter. But this one here, I'm not going to actually cut back. I just want to enjoy the beautiful foliage on it at the moment. It's growing super good. That's the coral bark maple. I'll give you guys a bit of a close up, see, just show you how healthy that thing is right now. Damn it, I forgot I was charging. I was charging you guys up before you went flat, so anyway, I've unplugged it. So there's the base on it. I think I've told you the story of this one before. So that's, you know, I don't know, a good 5 to 7 inches or something across the flat base. So it's actually getting a flat base on it. But yeah, I dug this up out of a flower pot. Sorry about that thumbnail, it's friggin' ugly. I dug it up out of a flower pot at the front of the house. That I planted it in there, but then the wife sort of decided she liked it and didn't want me to dig it up. But I dug it up anyway. And that's where this base came from initially, but it has got fatter since and started to plate up. But man, if you guys could see how soft and fresh this foliage is. And last week, I'm not joking, last week we had almost 40 degrees Celsius for the whole week straight. And underneath that shade, even out here in the desert, I'll just take you to the window just to prove to you that I live in a desert. Look at that. That's what it's like. And we had hot wind, all sorts of stuff going on. And that's out the window. So just a bit of proof, live in a desert. And then you wouldn't believe that you could grow fine leaf maple like that. And it didn't even burn. Just beautiful. So that's going good. No trimming back on that one. Gonna leave that one for autumn. But this one here, it's another maple, not the coral bark maple, but another Jap maple. And this one here I planted at my old house in the ground for a few years. Look at the growth on that. This one actually got defoliated at the same time as this one. I 100% defoliated both of them completely. 6 weeks ago, same as that eucalypt that I did the video on. But I defoliated them 6 weeks ago, and this is 6 weeks growth from a complete defoliation. Just stunning. I just wish you guys could see that trunk better, but there's a lot of branching in there. Alright. Enough cracking a fat over that tree. Let's move on to this one. So this one here, I planted in the ground at my old house, let it grow. Obviously it burnt back, it had no shade on it. Every summer on a hot day it would burn back a bit, but then it would grow again. That's one thing about these maples that people don't realise. Yes, they grow better in a cooler, temperate climate. I'm a temperate climate, but really hot in the summer. I can get up to 49 Celsius. This year we had a 43 degree day Celsius here, which is actually a pretty cool summer for us. It's been a really chilled summer for us to only get up to 43. And the biggest heat wave was maybe last week, where it sat on about 38 to 40 for about 3 or 4 days. It's actually been a really good summer. But they do well out here. And now that I've got them under that shade, in my shade area, I think you guys will agree they are super healthy. No burn, no nothing. And like I showed you out the window, we're in a desert, so anyway, I've been mumbling on too much. Let's go work on this tree. So the plan is just to cut off, got defoliated, so these are all new branches in only 6 weeks, like I said. This tree was dug up maybe 3 or 4 years ago, grown in the ground for several years, and that's the trunk we got. You'll see the trunk better later. I'm going to pull it out this pot and work on it. We're just going to thin out the branching, keep the fat branches, just so we can hopefully get some elongation on the branches. And when you get some elongation on some branches, it fattens up the base. One thing I've noticed about maples, whether or not other people have the same thing happen, one thing I have noticed about maples is they get quite fine branches, and it actually takes a while for the branch to fatten up. So, I don't know, I just feel like if I cut it back to one branch and let that grow, that'll fatten up rather than having several branches and then cutting it all back at the same time. I'm going to individually select. I'll just give you a spin of this one too while we're here. Okay, now I'm going to get that one out of the way. That one's done for now. Let's get this one on the turntable. This is Adrian Eggleton's turntable. Should just show you. Stainless steel, lasts forever. I've had it for well over a year now and still 100%. Lasts forever. You can get it wet, you can put it on your plants, on your stand. You can still water your trees on top of it. Stainless steel, never wear out. Adrian Eggleton has done an awesome job making them. I'll try to put a link in the description below, but he's also got a Facebook site called Spinning Tree Turntables. Check him out because he's actually got some really cool stuff. He's only a guy doing it from home, so support him, help him out. Adrian Eggleton Spinning Tree Turntables. And if you're on the fence about buying one, don't be, because they're bloody awesome. Have a look at this, you can just spin your tree around all day, so easy to work on. Look at that. Just spin your tree all day. The muck fell off. Look at the worms in that. You guys that think me spraying some weeds in the bottom of my pot with some slash is not good for the soil or for the ecosystem, look at that. The worms are absolutely loving it in here. That's right, spray all my weeds with slasher in the pots so that I don't have to hand weed. And look at that, the worms don't even care. Right, let's trim it back. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to do a rough trim. Time to get into it. We're probably 10 minutes in. I haven't even started on the tree. So let's hit it pretty hard now. Look at this mess. Okay guys, really sorry about that, but when I looked at that bloody worm, I pushed the focus on the camera to focus on that worm, and I didn't go back to autofocus, and now we ended up not seeing me work on the tree because it was all blurry. So I had to delete all that because you don't want to see a blurry tree. And I was explaining what I was doing through the whole process, but that's lost. So I'm just going to do a quick explanation of what I did with this tree. As you can see, it's got all these long shoots on it now. So what I did is I went inside all these shoots, and there could have been 5 or 6 shoots from each spot here, like a real cluster. It's like a fur ball, and you just cut them all off, keep the strongest 2. I've done that over the whole thing. Keep the strongest couple. And what I'm going to do now is actually that one there, it's technically 3 branch because you've got 1, 2, 3. So we'll chop one off. I'll chop the bottom one off and keep the one that's going up. Okay, so you don't get them all right at the start. So here you got 2, 2, then hopefully it'll divide again. But what I've done is got rid of the fluff. I'm not chopping back any of these branches because they come off quite thin when they first come off, as you can see. And I want them to thicken up. And we've got about 8 or 10 weeks of growing to go here, even though it's only 1 week away from autumn. Our autumn is actually warm enough that most things grow through autumn, especially if they get chopped off beforehand. And when it does drop its leaves, then I'll come back and chop these off. So what I'm hoping for is that all these branches fatten up now and grow faster because they've been selected as the main branches to grow really fast. And then when they lose their leaves, we'll chop it back. And because this is the 2nd or 3rd flush and it got defoliated, this tree, same with this one, defoliated only 6 weeks ago. Crazy. Very hard to believe. Look at that. Just such fine foliage. But anyway, because it's been defoliated in that, the internode lengths of these are pretty short. So when it fattens up, we'll be able to cut it back to this first internode length and be able to keep all that. In spring, the new growth can be that vigorous that you have to chop the branch completely off and start with a new one. But if you do it this time of year, or well 6 weeks ago, which was mid summer, especially here in Australia, you do get weaker secondary growth or whatever, so that you can actually keep these first internode lengths because they're not crazy long. So another one here you can see in here. These ones here starting to get too long, but I will keep them just because it's only really the secondary branching. Still have some long ones, some short ones, but we'll sort that out in winter. So anyway, as you can see, you can grow maples here in the desert. Gets to 49 degrees Celsius. These things have survived and they're fine. They might burn a bit, but then they come back. And last week was nearly 40 a week. No sign of burning. And they're just beautiful. So Jap maples, if you live in a desert but still temperate climate so that your winters get cold and they go deciduous, you can grow maples no matter how hot it gets in summer. Just have a bit of shade over the top and they love that, appreciate you for it. That's it. Okay, so that's pretty well how I'm tackling these. And this one here, I think I said that I'm not gonna work on it. I'm gonna leave it until autumn because it's got really weak growth everywhere. So we'll see. Even though it's healthy, it's got weak growth. The top took a while to shoot out after. See that? The top took a while to shoot out after its defoliation. Some spots haven't, so I'm not going to go in there and cut it back. I'm just going to let it do its own thing and go back in autumn on that one. No worries, that's my 2 maples. Cheers.